The blueprint of greatness. Every generation claims a new greatest. But when the argument ends, one name always echoes louder than the rest. Michael Jordan. 6 championships, 5 MVPs, 10 scoring titles, 9 all-defensive team selections. Those numbers look impossible, but they're not the reason he was great. They're the symptoms of something deeper, an obsession with craft. Jordan wasn't just playing basketball, he was engineering it, redesigning every movement, every angle, every inch of space until the game bent to his will. This isn't about highlight reels or nostalgia. This is about skill, the hidden mechanics that turned a man into a myth. Let's break down the art, the science, and the savagery that made Michael Jordan the most skilled player to ever touch a basketball. Number 1. Beyond the stats, total control over chaos. The box score never captured what made Jordan different. What made him terrifying was control, of body, of mind, and of moment. He could speed the game up or slow it down like he was holding a remote. Watch any possession from the 80s or 90s, you'll notice defenders reacting late. By the time they adjusted, Jordan was already finishing at the rim. His handle wasn't flashy, but it was surgical. Every crossover had a purpose: to tilt the defender's hips by a single inch. Once that happened, it was over. Coaches said he played downhill, but that wasn't physical. It was psychological. He constantly forced defenders to chase him mentally. They were reacting to ghosts of his movement instead of the man himself. Jordan didn't just dominate games, he orchestrated them, like a composer hearing the whole song while everyone else was still tuning instruments. Number 2. Defensive genius, the IQ of a predator. Now flip the floor. Jordan wasn't only scoring, he was dissecting. He treated defense like a chessboard. Every offensive set was a pattern, and Jordan memorized them all. He knew when a pick and roll was fake, when a pass was coming, and exactly where the ball would go next. Players talk about instinct, but Jordan's instincts were trained through hours of watching film and tracking habits. He would remember how a player landed after a jumper, then predict their next move the following game. That's how he averaged over 2 steals per game for a decade. These weren't lucky swipes, they were ambushes. He read the floor like a quarterback reading coverage, and once he decided to attack, the play was already over. And unlike most scorers, he took pride in defense. He wanted to crush you on both ends, to humiliate you into submission. That's what separated him from everyone else. When Jerry West, the literal NBA logo, says, "He's the best player on both ends of the floor," it isn't nostalgia. It's recognition of perfection. Number 3. Footwork, the language of balance. Footwork is the alphabet of basketball. Most players can spell. Michael Jordan could write poetry. On defense, his feet were a blur, sliding, cutting off angles, anticipating drives before they began. He never reached because he didn't need to. He steered opponents, forcing them exactly where he wanted them. On offense, his feet spoke a different language. Economy. Every pivot, every drop step, every jab was measured. No wasted motion. Watch the fadeaway. He plants his left foot, pivots over the right, shoulder fakes twice, then elevates. The rhythm is hypnotic, part dance, part execution. By the time he releases, the defender's center of gravity is gone. That fadeaway wasn't just a shot, it was geometry. Angles, leverage, and timing executed to perfection. Even Kobe Bryant, one of the most meticulous workers ever, admitted he stole everything from Jordan's footwork. And still, he never quite replicated the fluidity, because Jordan didn't move like he was thinking. He moved like the game itself was flowing through him. Number 4. The hands that bent physics. Jordan's hands were something out of science fiction. Nearly 10 inches wide, giving him control most players couldn't imagine. He could palm the ball off the dribble, fake passes mid-air, or hang in the air longer simply because he could re-grip mid-flight. That's what allowed those mid-air switches, left hand to right, reverse to up and under, all while adjusting for contact. On defense, those same hands were chaos. They disrupted dribbles, stripped post players, and tipped passes. He didn't just poke at the ball, he stole possessions. Teammates joked he had Velcro palms. But the truth was deeper. Those hands gave him creative freedom. He could improvise in ways nobody else could, turning broken plays into art. That's why even his misses looked elegant, because every motion carried intention. Number 5. The block artist, guarding the skies. It's easy to forget, but Jordan was one of the best shot-blocking guards ever. He had a 46-inch vertical and cat-like reflexes. But more important than that, he had timing. Blocking isn't about jumping high, it's about jumping late. And Jordan mastered that rhythm. He'd trail behind fast breaks, waiting for the offensive player to rise, then appear like a shadow, swatting the ball from behind. He blocked layups from 7-footers, chased down wings, and rejected fadeaways that no guard had business touching. His defensive tape is filled with moments where he seems to teleport. One frame, he's guarding a shooter. The next, he's blocking a dunk attempt. For a 6'6" guard to finish with more blocks than most centers of his era is absurd. But Jordan wasn't bound by position. He was a system unto himself. Perimeter lockdown, rim protector, and transition finisher all in one. Number 6. The Detroit Gauntlet, forging iron. In the late 80s, the road to greatness ran through pain, specifically through the Detroit Pistons. The Jordan rules weren't a myth. They were violence disguised as strategy. Every time he drove, they hit him. Elbows, body checks, knees. Everything was legal until the whistle. Most stars would have broken under that kind of punishment. Jordan went to the gym. He added 15 pounds of muscle in a single offseason. He lifted every day with one goal: never get bullied again. When the Bulls met Detroit the next year, it was a different Jordan. Heavier, stronger, more balanced. He didn't just absorb contact, he weaponized it. From that point on, defenders couldn't push him off his spots. In the post, he became immovable, backing players down, sealing position, finishing through hits. That transformation changed basketball forever. It birthed the modern two-way wing, power wrapped in grace. Detroit thought they could break him. Instead, they built him. Number 7. The strength advantage, power with purpose. Strength alone means nothing without control. Jordan had both. Even years later, when his athleticism declined, players like Metta World Peace, one of the league's strongest defenders, admitted MJ was a tank. You couldn't move him. And this was Washington Wizards Jordan, years past his prime. His power wasn't about size, it was about leverage. He understood angles better than big men. In the post, he'd drop a shoulder, seal with his hips, and create separation using nothing but timing. On defense, he'd body scorers out of rhythm, no hand checks needed. He used pressure points, subtle pushes at the right moment to disrupt balance. That's why smaller guards couldn't outquick him and forwards couldn't overpower him. He lived in the perfect middle ground, quick enough for guards, strong enough for forwards. That physical control was the foundation for his mid-career renaissance. He evolved from highlight machine to efficiency monster. Number 8. The evolution of offense from air to artistry. Young Jordan attacked like a storm, relentless drives, hang-time acrobatics, and dunks that ripped the soul out of defenses. But as the years passed, he didn't just age, he adapted. When the legs slowed, the brain took over. He reinvented himself as the most precise mid-range scorer ever. The fadeaway became his signature, part weapon, part symbol of mastery. He'd post on the left block, back down the defender with those tree trunk legs, fake once, twice, then fade into perfect balance. Every element was designed. Shoulder fake to freeze the defender, pivot to create space, wrist snap with that perfect backspin. And the shot was inevitable. It didn't matter if you were 6'3" or 6'10", you weren't blocking it. That fadeaway was poetry under pressure. He studied Hakeem's footwork, Bird's patience, and the fundamentals of the 60s legends, then modernized them into something unstoppable. Jordan's offensive evolution mirrored human evolution itself, from raw instinct to refined intelligence. He went from flying above defenses to outthinking them. Number 9. The mental engine, the psychology of dominance. You can't talk about Jordan's skill without talking about his mind. The real weapon wasn't his jumper, it was his mentality. He turned competition into obsession. Every possession was personal. He memorized player habits, then used them as weapons. If you dribbled twice before crossing over, he remembered. If you blinked before shooting, he'd fake you into it. Teammates said his trash talk wasn't random, it was strategic programming. He got inside your head until you started playing his game. And once he broke you mentally, the physical domination felt inevitable. Jordan's IQ wasn't limited to tactics. It was emotional intelligence. He knew when to push teammates, when to lead by silence, when to take over, when to pass. In the 1991 finals, he broke the Lakers' defense not with dunks, but with patience. He trusted his reads, passed to Paxson, and dismantled LA possession by possession. That was peak Jordan, the balance between fire and focus. He didn't just flaunt to win. He wanted to prove he could beat you in every possible way, physically, mentally, spiritually. Number 10. The legacy of skill. Why Jordan still stands alone. Today's NBA is filled with incredible talent. LeBron's longevity, Kobe's precision, KD's efficiency, Curry's range. But no one has ever combined all of it the way Jordan did. He was offense and defense, power and finesse, grace and rage. Every attribute balanced by its opposite. He wasn't a product of an era, he defined one. And what made him immortal wasn't athleticism, it was mastery. He understood that skill is repetition under pressure, that greatness isn't built in the finals, it's built in silence, in the hours nobody sees. When you watch the last shot against Utah, you're not seeing luck. You're seeing 10,000 fadeaways practiced in empty gyms. You're seeing years of pattern recognition condensed into one perfect decision. That moment, the crossover, the pull-up, the follow-through, was the purest expression of skill in sports history. Because skill isn't what you can do once. It's what you can do every single time, even when the world is watching. And that's why, decades later, Michael Jordan isn't just remembered as the greatest player. He's remembered as the standard. Every generation still measures itself against him. Not because of nostalgia, but because no one has ever reached that combination of intelligence, precision, strength, and grace. He wasn't just great at basketball. He was basketball condensed into human form. So when people argue about who's the GOAT, they're really arguing about one question. Who else ever mastered every part of the game the way Jordan did? And the answer, every single time, is the same.